The Detroit Lions get some devastating injury news, but also really good injury news behind it. And the devastating news isn't quite as devastating. And I just set a record for saying the word devastating the most times in the first 12 seconds of video. I just want to make that clear. I think I said it like 5 times. You can go back and look at it. Look, the Lions had some injuries this week, and what we were hoping to be true is true. They are not season-ending injuries. It is not a pec tear for Terrion Arnold. It is not a hamstring, I'm going to end your season hamstring for DJ Reed. So we're going to talk about those things. We're going to talk about other injury scares that we got away with. But let's start with the big two and our secondary, because we are going to be without our 2 starting corners for a little while. But let's find out how long we're going to be without them. And we're going to start with DJ Reed. All right, here's the injury update on him. It says this, all right, he will certainly miss some time, with the big question being how much. MRI results will help estimate the recovery timeline, a partial tear grade 1 or 2, or return in the wage 2 to 5 weeks. If it's worse than that, it could be worse. Here's what Dan Campbell said on Monday. He said this: he's going to be down for a while, but the good news is it's not a season ender. Could be IR, could be in that range. Now, if you're a little confused on that, because I know if you're like me, many years ago, I thought IR meant you're done for the year. Not always. There is the season-ending IR. Yes, you are done for the year. Otherwise, an IR is at least 4 weeks. So if you put someone on the IR, they're out for at least 4 weeks. It frees up a roster spot so you can bring someone else in, and that's why you use it. I think you only have so many of these in the season. I don't know what it is, but it's a lot. But I know the Lions tested how many you can use last year. But I have to admit, when I saw him go down, when I saw Terrion Arnold go down, I was like, here we go again, right? Davenport is already down. I was like, what are we doing? But here's the good news. He should be back based on what Dan Campbell said. We're looking at that 4-5 week range when it comes to hamstrings, when it comes to cornerbacks. You got to be careful. Just like hamstrings with wide receivers, it is a high re-injury percentage if you rush them back. So get him fully healthy, which is really unfortunate because he was starting to ball out like a number 1 corner. He was starting to be the guy that we paid him to be. So here's the hope, is that he can get healthy, he can get better, and then he can pick up right where he left off. We had another injury. All right. That was Terrion Arnold. Sorry, something just random popped up. I'm glad you couldn't see it. But that was Terrion Arnold. Terrion Arnold is here, got hurt in the 3rd quarter, and it was what Jimmy Lau on Twitter, he's a MD at U of M, he said this shows similar to Marcus Davenport's pec strain. Best case scenario, simple contusion of the pec or the shoulder. There didn't seem to be anything on video overly concerning for the shoulder, although a brief sublation is always possible. Here's Dan Campbell's statements, because that's what's important. I don't think this is a huge thing. If it's not this week, he should be back by next week. Okay. All right. Now, can I be honest? Do I wish it was DJ Reed if not this week, should be back for next week? Yes, I absolutely do. But they're saying with Terrion Arnold, he will, if he's not back this week against the Bengals, he should absolutely be back the following week against Kansas City. It would be very nice to have him against Kansas City. Here's kind of where I'm at with this. Look, we have 3 starting caliber cornerbacks on this team. It's Amik Robertson, it's Terrion Arnold, and you can make arguments that Terrion Arnold has not been playing like a starting caliber cornerback, and it's DJ Reed. Now, with all of that being said, I want 2 of them healthy all year. And I've said this before the season started. You need to have 3 solid corners because you need to, they get hurt. Corners get hurt. It is very rare for a cornerback to play all 17 games. It is even more rare for both of your starting outside corners to be able to play all 17 games. I don't think, based on what I've seen, all right, that Terrion Arnold or Amik Robertson play a super awesome nickel corner. So I'm not worried about a huge drop-off if you need to put in a Rock Ya-Sin at nickel, if you need to do Khalil Dorsey, if you need to move Brian Branch up there and you put Avonte Maddox back in the back, and like you are able to do those types of things, I'm not worried about huge drop-offs if we have to mess around at nickel. The huge drop-off that I'm worried about is at outside corner. I'm not as comfortable playing Rock Ya-Sin or Khalil Dorsey at outside corner as I am allowing them to go into the nickel. All right, because with the nickel, you can hide it a little bit better and things like that. So the fact that Terrion Arnold is only going to be, if it's not this week, it's the week after. Look, the Bengals have phenomenal wide receivers that we play next week, but they don't have Joe Burrow. I think that we will get passed on quite a bit next week, but they have a horrible offensive line. So the question is, can we produce pressure? That's the big one. A couple of other things. Khalil Dorsey also left late in the fourth quarter. He had a back contusion. He was the first corner to go there. He took a knee in the back. He didn't return to the game, but it was fourth in garbage time. Both Reed and Arnold were likely out for a short while. He might become very important. We need him back. We need him back. Him and Rock Ya-Sin are both going to be important parts of this secondary if everybody else is out. Those are things to know. Other little things. Al-Quddin Muhammad's snap count was way down. We knew he was dealing with a knee injury. Maybe that's slightly more severe than we thought. Yeah, we'll see what happened. Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with all of this. Here's the good news. Reinforcements are coming. And here's what we're seeing on these guys. Aleem McNeil, Dan Campbell on Monday delivered great news here. We're close on Mac, he said. He said we're close. There's a good chance we may start Mac's clocks this week. Expect the late October to November game action. When you start the game clock, don't quote me on this, but I believe you have, is it 15 or 21 days? I think it's like 15 practices, 21 days. I'm not sure exactly what it is. So if they start that clock this week, you have that many days to activate them off the IR. So they get to start practicing, they get their ramp-up time, and then they have to be activated off that. So if they're thinking late October, then I would expect it maybe not this week, but next week. But Aleem McNeil is coming. And so you could not, Aleem McNeil might be back around the same time DJ Reed is, and all of a sudden this defense is as healthy as it's ever been. Same with Malcolm Rodriguez, who's looking to come back. Those are things that are good news. But the devastating news is that we do have DJ Reed is going to be out for a while. The good news that comes with that is it should not be for the year. All right. And when you look at our schedule, we all knew the first 5 games were brutal, right? And they were made a little less brutal because Joe Burrow's hurt and Cincinnati's struggling. But I expect a proud Cincinnati team at home on Sunday. That next 5 games, Kansas City, Tampa, Minnesota, Washington, Philly, with 3 of them on the road, once again, brutal. Right? Like that's just nuts to me. What this schedule looks like. Then you go New York, Green Bay, Dallas, LA, Pittsburgh. Like that might be the easiest 5-game stretch, and that's very difficult. 2 extremely difficult games and 1 difficult game with Pittsburgh. I think New York and Dallas are a couple teams we should take care of, and then we end double on the road. This is a schedule that doesn't relent. We need the health to be there. I think the bye week is at about the perfect time. I think in a perfect world, you get DJ Reed back for the Minnesota game, and you get Aleem McNeil back for the Minnesota game. But we'll see what happens. Let's just keep ramping these guys up. Let's get healthy, and let's rely on a really solid offense until then. All right, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.